All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who our land is true from, and I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. And today I just want to go into this, this article from the New York Post, and it says, inside the Oppenheimer nuclear test site in New Mexico, birthplace of the atomic bomb, as it preps for visitors. So, I'm just going to go into this, bring out a couple of scriptures. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying and straight to the point. Now, as you can see, they're pretty much, going to turn the test site of the first nuclear bomb into a tourist attraction, But what people fail to realize is that, yes, the things that were left over, pretty much they were in the middle of a desert. That's going to be America very soon after this Third World War. This country is going to be left completely desolate, So it says, the area in the desolate New Mexico desert is where Robert J. Oppenheimer and his team changed the course of history by detonating the world's first atomic bomb, the deadliest and most destructive weapon ever deployed, which helped end World War II. The Trinity site, named after the nuclear project's code name, is usually closed to the public, but the U.S. military granted the Post exclusive access for one morning following renewed interest in the historic area spurred by the summer blockbuster about Oppenheimer's life by Christopher Nolan. The fenced-in site includes Ground Zero, where the bomb was detonated, leaving behind a 100-foot wide and 10-foot deep crater, and about 60 miles north of White Sands National Park. The first atomic bomb was detonated up above that point on a steel tower that the bomb vaporized, so all that's left now is one of the footings of the tower. Of that tower, said Drew Hamilton, U.S. Army Public Affairs Specialist for White Sands Missile Range. The Ground Zero is behind locked gates with only an obelisk marking where the plutonium device named Gadget released 18.6 kilotons of power, creating the infamous mushroom cloud seared into the world's collective consciousness. Littering the site are shards of green speckled glass type objects called trinitite, after the test area, that were created by the sheer force of the bomb when it was detonated on July 16th, 1945. When the bomb went off, sand from the desert floor was sucked into its blast, and it was actually blown up into the fireball of the explosion, melted there and rained down. And rained back down, Hamilton explained, adding trinitite was found miles away from the explosion, as well as green trinitite. There are also red and black variations, which are much rarer, but sometimes found near the test area. Due to its radioactive nature, the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission bulldozed and buried most of it in 1953. Hamilton added that the trinitite is the most commonly stolen thing from the site, which is illegal. Although still technically radioactive, it is not harmful. In fact, the whole site is still nominally radioactive, but exposure is lower than what you would get from eating a banana, the Army said, insisting it's perfectly safe. We've had all kinds of things from people coming out in full suits and masks, people taking their shoes and just leaving them in the parking lot. Please don't do that, Hamilton laughed. Now, again, just, to add a little feedback. So this goes to show you, how people don't really take anything serious. Like, you clearly see, not even just in that site, but, in pretty much that region period in New Mexico and Nevada, they've detonated these bombs. And, it was left a lot of radioactivity behind. Even though they said, they claim it's not harmful, I still wouldn't personally be around it, because again, we've seen the effects that those atomic bombs did to Japan. People are still suffering from that, radioactivity today, But again, this is America for you. Continuing on, it says also on the site is the Schmidt McDonald Ranch House, where the Gadget bomb's plutonium core was assembled, and the base camp where those involved in the project lived. Nolan, whose drama Oppenheimer has already grossed over $649 million worldwide, traveled to the Trinity site in preparation for the movie. He brought a whole crew out here, location scouting, and they spent the better part of the day driving around visiting Trinity Site Ground Zero, the ranch house, as well as locations that are not part of the tour, he added. The results of the Trinity tests led to the first and only time nuclear weapons have ever been deployed. When the U.S. dropped atomic bombs on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945, killing between 129,000 and 226,000, mostly civilians, forcing Japan's surrender. The site opens to public free of charge twice in a year, in April and October. I wonder why those months. But again, why would they want people to come to this site? Again, if these were nuclear bombs or, pretty much they did tests with these weapons, why would they want people to be able to come there? Like, this is just me speaking as a man. Like, it really doesn't make sense to me, because again, at first it was, they didn't want anybody over there. Now they're opening it up to the public for free. I don't know. Seems kind of odd. It says, as far as whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, we prefer to leave that up to the individual visitor to decide, Hamilton said. But the most remarkable thing about the visit is what it makes people think about rather than what they see. There isn't a whole lot here. There's not a lot to do. This isn't an amusement park, but this is the place where the door to the atomic age was kicked open, Hamilton said. Once this happened, there was no denying that the world was not going back. The general public is only allowed access Trinity site to The general public is only allowed to access Trinity site twice a year because the rest of the time missile testing is being conducted around the historical landmark. So, right, they're still testing missiles over there, but yet they'll allow people to come. Like, that doesn't make sense. It says White Sands Missile Range primarily tests missile technology, whether that be air defense or surface to surface. The Army spokesman said, we also support NASA almost once a month. Hamilton was not authorized to disclose more details of what gets tested at the Army facility, but during the post-visit, tanks could be seen driving in the distance as well as construction of bunkers for future testing. So again, they know what's coming. They know America is about to be destroyed. That's why they're doing this. those bunkers won't help. Ultimately, they're going to be destroyed as well, And then this will be it. It says, the site is preparing for a huge influx at its next visitation date on October 21st. Because of the movie, Hamilton says they are preparing for even more people than in 2015 for the 70th anniversary of the tests when 5,000 people turned up. We've upgraded all our facilities, said Hamilton. We are prepared to handle more than 5,000 per visit these days, which is good because I think in October we're going to get a lot more than that. So, they're they're turning this site into a tourist attraction. And pretty much, they still test missiles. That's why they're only allowing people to come there twice a year, in spring and in fall. So, hey, man, it's madness. So this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 54 and verse 16. It says, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals and the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. Yes, again, as always, that waster to destroy is going into those nuclear missiles, starting with those atomic bombs again. They're pretty much, this is history. Because again, Esau Edom pretty much did change the course of the world, by not only creating this technology, but using it to end a war. And eventually, this is going to, this is pretty much how World War III is going to be fought, by these missiles. And then again, the Smith being, those scientists that are behind developing these weapons, So I'm going to go to Slakia, the book of Isaiah, chapter 9 and verse 5. And it says, for every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. So yes, once this man dropped those bombs on Japan, it changed the course of the world, So pretty much at that time, only the United States possessed, that particular technology, then eventually Russia, Now all these other nations, these weaker nations, they have, their missiles as well. But the main two countries that have this technology is the United States and Russia, And that's how this third world war is going to be fought, by way of these ICBM, these intercontinental ballistic missiles, Because again, it's prophesied that America will be destroyed by way of fire, America is Babylon the Great. And it is prophesied that that's the judgment that this place is going to receive, Because this is pretty much the wickedest kingdom, in history. It's pretty much every kingdom that rose and fell wrapped in one, primarily, ancient Rome and Babylon, So I'm going to go to Slakia, bear with me. I'm going to bring out Matthew chapter 24, because again, this is pretty much the time that we're in. Even though they're turning this into a particular tourist attraction, it says they're still conducting, tests. But again, they're pretty much getting prepared for war, because again, ultimately, the United States and Russia are going to go to war with each other, So this is the book of Matthew chapter 24 and verse 6, and it says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So, we're starting to hear about, wars and rumors of wars. North Korea is still making threats to the U.S. Ukraine and Russia are still at war. Ultimately something is going to happen to where, these nations that are going to pretty much go at it with each other, is going to it's gonna Slovakia, I'm getting tripped up in my words. Pretty much is going to get America and Russia involved, ultimately, because that's what this war is gonna be against, That's gonna be the main two components of this war, America and Russia. So I'm gonna bring this out. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 49 and verse 20. It says, "Therefore hear the counsel of the Lord, that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them." And yes, again, something is going to take place to where, eventually Russia and America are going to go to war with each other, because right now, it's pretty much, the calm before the storm. Like it says in Matthew, we're hearing about wars and rumors of wars, but that's going to be the main war. That is going to be World War III, Russia against America. But it's also prophesied that Russia would destroy America. Now we know ultimately it's going to be our Lord Yahweh Shai, when he returns with the angels to destroy this place. But also, just on a lesser level, it's going to be Russia, And then I'm going to bring this out. It's the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 9. And it says, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say I'm strong." So pretty much, again, those nations that didn't have this technology before, they have it now. Countries that did not have nuclear weapons before, they have them now. That's pretty much what this is talking about, because again, the two countries that possess the most, nuclear weapons is the United States and Russia, but like it says in the book of Revelation, chapter 9, there's going to be 200 million missiles that are going to hit this place, Now you do have various parts of the world that are going to get hit, but primarily, it's prophesied that America will be the only land that is going to be left completely desolate. The book of Isaiah 34, goes into the aftermath of what America is going to look like. It's going to be completely desolate. It's going to be a desert. This whole land from New York to California is going to be deserted. No man will ever dwell on this land again. Only desert creatures will, Yeah. I'm going to go to the book of Job, chapter 20 and verse 22. And it says, "In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating." Excuse me, Slakia. "He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn, and cometh out of the body. Yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. Terrors are upon him." And again, that's going into those nuclear missiles. Because ultimately we know that Esau Edom wants to, fulfill his new world order, but the Lord is only going to let him get so far, before he ultimately takes this man out of power, So he won't be able to, fulfill his dream of having total control over the world, And then This is the book of Amos, chapter 9. I'm going to start at verse 1. And it says, I saw the Lord standing upon the altar, and he said, smite the lintel of the door, that the posts may shake, and cut them in the head, all of them, and I will say the last, and I will slay the last of them with the sword. He that fleeth of them shall not flee away, and he that escapeth of them shall not be delivered. Though they dig into hell, thence shall mine hand take them. Though they climb up to heaven, thence will I bring them down. Although, and though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, I will search and take them out thence. And though they and though they be hid from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite them. And though they go into captivity before their enemies, thence will I command the sword, and it shall slay them. And I will set mine eyes upon them for evil and not for good. And yes, I'm pretty much going to end it on that, because again, this is going into the elites, not even, primarily the elites, but, also these people as well, that have this money, these lesser elites, I'll say, even these doomsday preppers that pretty much, have these bunkers here in America, and even over in various parts of the world, but primarily here in America. In the article, it says, they're pretty much building another bunker, in New Mexico at that site. But ultimately, although they dig, those missiles are still going to be, those missiles are still going to destroy them. It doesn't matter how far they dig, into the ground. These missiles are going to pelt this land. It's even going to destroy the mountains. That just goes to show you how devastating this destruction is going to be. It's going to take everything out. So it doesn't matter what they try to do. If they try to hide in the mountains, if they try to hide, in the bunkers on the ground, if they try to hide in the sea or even in space, ultimately, once America is destroyed and the elect of the nation of Israel is delivered and changed, he's going to send the elect back down to gather them out of their hiding places and take them into captivity, So that's pretty much it. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I'd like to give double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, where I learned this truth from. And I'd like to say peace and salutations unto the hopefully elect. Till the next time I say Shalom.